Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org. We thank the generosity of our underwriters. For more information, please contact the Westfield State Foundation at 413-572-8646. Friday mornings is something different on 89.5 FM. It's JP's Talk About Town.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Schlemiel, Schlemazel, Hasenkamp, Incorporated. We're gonna do it. Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way. Nothing's gonna turn us back now. Straight ahead and on the track now. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way. There's nothing we won't try. Never heard the word impossible. This time there's no stopping us. We're gonna do it. On your mark and set and go now. Got a dream and we just know now. We're gonna make that dream come true. And we'll do it our way, yes, our way. Make our dreams come true. And we'll do it our way, yes, our way. Make our dreams come true. For me and you.
Good morning and welcome to Chamber Chatter. I'm Kate Phelan, the Executive Director of the Greater Westfield Chamber of Commerce, and it's our monthly radio show. And we have a guest with us this morning. Pete, good morning.
Good morning.
So I want to introduce our guest, Michelle Urban, who is a Chief Nursing Officer and Chief Administrative Officer at Bay State Noble Hospital. Welcome.
Good morning, Kate.
How are you?
Great. I'm great.
Good. Thank you. Happy Wednesday, everyone. It's the hump day, right? And it's like a summer day. It is so humid out there. And we have our Chamber After 5 networking event tonight, which is free to our members. And we're going up to the Chester Railway Station. Did you know that, Pete?
I've been to the Chester. I've actually been there.
I know. It's
when they
pretty
used to
cool.
have Chester on track.
Right? Yes. So
They would open the museum for that.
yeah, so we're having our After 5 there tonight. And it's kind of a little bit different flair. They are going to have, of course, some appetizers and I think they're having some wine. And people can BYOB. How's that for something different?
Great event.
There you
Right? Go. And then, of course, the museum is awesome. Dave Pierce and Barbara Huntoon, I think some other folks in their organization. But we're going to get to tour the caboose. You can rent this. You can sleep on this caboose car. You can rent it out for weddings and parties, and so very, very interesting. So we've got about I think we're going to have probably close to 30 people tonight. So come on up.
A lot of historical significance for that spot because that was where you'd make the climb into the Berkshires.
Yes, right. So I have done the trail up there, the arch trails, the hiking trails, and we were lucky when we were doing the hike. A train was actually, chugging because it's a steep incline.
Yep.
It's crazy. But it was pretty cool to see that. So anyway, that's tonight from 5 to 7.
Great.
So now we're going to kind of segue into our guests because they are a chamber member. Obviously, we have our chamber members on the radio. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me, Kate.
Because I know you're a very busy woman, and especially with what's going on this year with the upcoming election, not just for people running for office, but the ballot questions. So I know you just spoke at our chamber breakfast in September. So why don't we, let's have this conversation and let's get some information out about ballot question number 1. Are you good with that? Want to talk about that?
I'm very passionate about that, as you know.
I do know.
Question number 1 has to do with government mandating the number of nurses and patient ratios at all times at all facilities in the state of Massachusetts. So I look at it as it's numbers based. And to be honest with you, I've been a nurse for 35 years. And throughout my practice, a patient was never a number. It was every patient has an individualized need. Their care is individualized. And so for the government to come in and say that a patient is just a patient, I adamantly disagree with that. So if you can guess, I am voting no on question 1, because I actually believe that nurses are problem solvers. That's what we do every single day when we care for patients. A situation will arise, a condition will change. We work together as nurses to deal with those changes, and this will limit that for nurses in hospitals today.
Michelle, can I ask you a question? So, having been a patient over the course of my lifetime and in different institutions, I have 2 children, so I've been through the whole, childbearing issues and then some other issues where I was in a hospital setting. So, when nurses are not assigned, let's say, a quota, do nurses collaborate with each other on their particular patients, or is it pretty much I'm assigned nurse, Susan, she's my nurse, but would she ever consult with another nurse, or how does that work in the setting the way it is now?
So presently, we determine nurse-patient ratios, or how we're going to have our mix of patients according to best practice research.
Okay.
So professional nursing organizations do research on how outcomes are best affected by patient care. Here's an example. In our operating room, the ASPAN, American Perioperative Nurses Society, determined that a 1-to-1 and 1-to-2 nurse-patient ratio for patients coming out of anesthesia is best practice. So we implement that at Noble now. Okay. But I will tell you that if during the course of someone's recovery something happens, because you can't predict everything.
Right. Yep.
So nurses jump in and do what they need to do to meet that patient's needs. We do that on med-surg units right now. We have intershift nursing reports. So I'm the charge nurse going out and you're the charge nurse coming in. We talk about the acuity level of the patients. We assign patients according to not only the acuity level of the patient, but also the expertise of the nurse that's receiving those patients. And again, like I said, patients' conditions change at a drop of a hat in some cases. And then what would happen is I would take the acute patient and maybe you would take 2 of my other patients while I'm dealing with the acute change of patients.
All right. So now relate that to with the ballot question, if that passes. Now, how would that change?
Well, for every time that a nurse deviates from the government-mandated nurse-patient ratios, we potentially could be fined because we're technically breaking the law.